All right, it's Monday, April 22nd. This is an end of the day SPY recap. And today on the daily chart, we end up with a two up, slightly green bar that made a new high from the previous day for a two up day that did not reach its first target, which would be this high right here. And you can see there's two highs right up here. If it wants to go up tomorrow in compound fashion, then that would be what you'd expect to see. If we hold the midpoint of today and start up and take out, today's high, we'll see if we can hit those targets. But for now, it is a potential failure to just kind of come up, miss those targets, and eventually move lower if price action goes that way. And this isn't really an unexpected day, given that we've had 6 red days down in a row. That is a little bit of short-term exhaustion risk. We're still looking at the weekly chart, and after last week's big red bar, we're expecting that weekly low to be tested at some point this week. We see targets down here, these three areas that we expect to be hit. And, you didn't know if it was going to come right out of the gates on Monday and take out those lows, or maybe given the daily exhaustion risk, maybe you'd have a little bit of consolidation first. So it looks like that's what happened, not surprising at all. And now we kind of set up with some good reference points and good signals, going forward for the rest of the week. In other words, this purple line here is now the open of the week. So if we stay, above there and continue higher, then we'll be biased to the upside for as long as that exists. We have some targets up here, but when we see failures unfolding, which today was a potential failure, and then we get a 2 down day, then that gets exciting to eventually kind of move in line with taking out the low of last week and these targets that are next in line over here. So, we're waiting for really high probability setups to the downside, given the 6 red days in a row, and now they're starting to unfold. And I discussed, I think, on the recap video that I wouldn't mind seeing kind of moves up first with a 2 up failure, or a 2 up day that eventually fails and has a 2 down day towards the lower targets. That would be more ideal than trying to play this momentum down day after day after day. So anyway, in terms of how today unfolded, out of the gates, price kind of gapped up a little bit. You had the red bar here, and then the inside bar, and then I discussed how on bar 4 I bought some puts. He said, just given the fact that the market was starting lower on the day, even though it didn't really, I would have preferred it takes out that pre-market high first before heading lower, but that's what it was doing. So I bought some puts here, and then I scaled out down kind of in this area towards yesterday's close. I described it at the time, and I also discussed at the time that I wouldn't be surprised if it just kind of held in here into this gap of the pre-market, range, and maybe had a push up to take out liquidity in the upside before eventually moving lower. And that's kind of what happened. So for me, I just had to, I bought some 505 puts at 887. I discussed how I scaled that at 975. And then as it started coming back to the first bar high, I had to exit the rest of the position at 754. So overall, I think it's a very small loss here, maybe 40 cents, something like that. And, again, I'm not surprised that it didn't really continue. It could have easily continued down here. And at that point, I would have probably done no worse than a small gain on the trade. But it did make a sharp reversal up. Had to exit here kind of as it was getting to the midpoint of the first bar. I kind of anticipated it would take out those pre-market highs at that point. And once I saw it kind of just pause here, I suspected it would go up a little higher. I didn't buy calls, but, it had a nice strong move, and then it kind of sold off near the end of the day. So to me, this is kind of, pretty much in line with expectations that you'd have a little bit of a move back up, within this, as long as we kind of hold the midpoint of the prior week, which is kind of up in here, then I'm comfortable at some point we're going to roll over and head lower to those lower targets on the weekly chart. So we'll see, we're starting the week inside. We'll see if we hold the midpoint of this week up in here. If we head higher, I could see taking out these stops, as broadening areas. But the more we try to go higher and can't hit those areas, the higher probability you're really going to get a good trade to the downside this week. So that's what I'm going to keep in mind. Purple line is the open, so that's the reference points. If it stays above that, we stay kind of green on the week. And if we get failures up there that then come below this purple line, then just get ready to take out the weekly low low and go to some of those next targets on the weekly chart. And those can be some really good trades to the downside. So let's see if opening price action and the intraday structure and the days ahead lead us to some good trades to the downside. And especially, take advantage of that if we fail to move higher, and with some kind of failure move. So let's just see what unfolds. But today, kind of a neutral day. And we will see kind of how the rest of the week goes, still with a bias to the downside.